John Doherty, deceased, Norfolk, Nucor. In the early 1970s, Nucor was looking for a place to expand.
And they realized very quickly that there were other facilities that could profit from having a facility like the one in Darlington, and Norfolk, Nebraska already had the Volcraft plant. Volcraft was a division of the then Nuclear Corporation of America, and they could save a lot of money by having their own steel produced right there in Norfolk.
Nebraska was not the only possibility.
And then after the war, he went to work at a small steel fabricating company in Baltimore for a short period of time, and he never really lost that particular focus of he's not just the boss or the leader, he's a member of a team, and that's what Nucor's become. Yeah. We jokingly say sometimes in the family that, you know, he had a great love for his family, but he also had a tremendous desire to be here.
He never said he had to go to work.
Right.
He considered Nucor, you know, this mill that he built, this was his big toy.
Yeah.
Recognizing John Doherty's talent, Nucor tasked him with the job of designing and building their new steel plant.
The 60s, the modern Nucor started in 1962 when Ken Iverson came on as our general manager of one of our Volcraft plants. At that time, that was the only steel-making operation we had. And so he decided to build our first, what we called mini mill, in 1968 in Darlington, South Carolina. And he needed a good engineer, good production guy to make it all happen. So he went out and found this guy by the name of John Doherty. He worked on that facility, and then we built a facility in Norfolk, Nebraska, a Volcraft plant in Norfolk.
But John Doherty recognized and respected the people he was working with.
Anywhere we go, if you run into somebody that works at Nucor, they want to make sure you know they work at the mill, they knew Dad, and, you know, there's 30, 40-year employees here.
John did not accept excuses for not performing.
And the state attitude that the right to work law is an important law to have. And that made a big difference to them.
Dad knew coming out here that the base of his employee, the foundation of the employees, would be the farming community.
John Doherty's impact went well beyond Nucor. John never took anyone for granted.
And back then we had mostly male wait staff, and many of them wore their hair longer. This is the early 70s after all. And he would tease them, suggesting in one way or another that they get a haircut. Well, one of the guys was right out of the Army combat vet, and he had been horribly injured, shot like 10 times, and he wore his hair long to cover an ear that was missing. It had been shot off. And one night I shared with Mr. Doherty the story, and next thing I know, and rather than suggest that he get a haircut, he offered the guy a job.
Family and community were also high on John's priority list.
There were kids graduating, you know, their senior year and chose to come work at Nucor, then go to college. You know, and not everybody wants to go to college. They weren't sure they wanted to go to college. So they came out here, got a good job, made incredible money, bought nice homes, nice cars. I mean, the economy in this town, I can't imagine what Nucor has brought to this town.
John's direct influence affected many people.
Failure was not something that he would dwell on. He would then look at the fact of how do you improve or how do you change it. Kind of like Edison in many different ways. He knew one way that wouldn't work.
And you never wondered where you stood with John Doherty.
He became a voice. If he didn't like something in the community or in the in the city, he'd let him know. And he had a few people that thought, John, you need to run for mayor. Well, no, he doesn't want anything to do with politics coming from the Massachusetts area.
John Doherty was not a native Nebraskan, but the impact he made in his adopted state will last for generations to come.
I know he would love to have been here. Before we get started, I'd like to have his wife, his sister, my sisters, his family, his son-in-laws, his grandchildren, if you'd all please just stand up. And his brother and wife. There's a lot of teammates here from Nucor that I'd like to also please stand up and give a hand to these people. These are the descendants of the work my father did. Back in the 70s, Nucor wanted to build a facility out here in the Midwest. And they needed a place that had the power and the gas and the roads and the rails and the stable ground and a community that would support this mill. And they found Norfolk, Nebraska. And the people that he hired were basically mechanics and farmers. And he hired those people, and they were an incredible team. They were innovators, they were hardworking, very good people. Them with the support of the community, the business community around Norfolk, and the business community here in Nebraska, they made that mill successful, and he was always so proud of his team. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
When things didn't go right, Dad always took the blame. But when things prospered, things grew, things went right, things expanded, he shared, always shared, the acceptance or the progress and the reward of it with everybody that worked with him. It was never about one person with him. Because he knew that, yeah, he didn't take credit for a lot of things he innovated, designed, or improved upon, traveling the world to look at other techniques and processes. But he knew that him drawing it on paper and doing the mathematics and figuring out how much something could hold or how strong you had to build something was still left up to the people and the bare hands and the community and the machinists and the welders and everybody else that went into the process. So we accept this for Dad. And for the probably hundreds of Nucor employees of Norfolk that are still there from day one, 1973, 1972, when they broke ground. Thank you.